Hey guys, it's me, Mr. Ingram. I'm about to walk you through some op art examples, but before that I thought I'd show you what I'm using, and really it is this permanent marker. I'm mostly going to be using this end of the permanent marker, which I don't know if you can tell. It won't focus. It's just like a regular Sharpie. The other end is a fine tip, kind of like if you were to walk up to the front of the class and get a Sharpie. This would be one of the fatter ones. This would be those thin capped ones. But I'm just going to be using the fat side because I am under the assumption that most of you will have a fatter one once we get to it in class. So what's coming up is me explaining a few different types of op art illusions that you will be testing. So you will have to turn in a paper with your op art examples, so you'll have the ones that I'm going over. You should be able to watch this video, figure out what I'm doing, and redo it on your own paper. So that's the whole idea. So I hope that this helps you, and I hope that you can figure out what I'm doing based on this video. So to get started on all of our op art tubes, you will need, or not tubes, but op art drawings, you will need to first draw a box that you will be doing your drawing in. You can make them larger, you can take up multiple pages. For me, I'm going to do them pretty small and try to keep all of my drawings on this one page. So for this first technique, what you are going to do is draw some lines trying to be pretty even. You know, nothing too terribly large, nothing too terribly small. Trying to be pretty even going up the paper, and then we're going to do the same going side to side. So like we talked about, op art, or really we didn't talk about it, but we did an assignment about it. Op art is optical illusion art, and so the black and white really lends itself to that. So if I'm going to pick, I'm going to pick this little square right here to show you what you're going to do next, and what that is, if I can remember. Okay, so what we're going to do when we have our grid drawn is kind of come out from this end and draw a bit of a Y that comes out like that, and then color in that back box, the tip of our Y. So for each cube we're going to do this, and it's got to join at this corner, but we're trying to make it pretty even. So I will get back to you when I finish doing every single one of my boxes like that. Okay, this is our view after we have finished all of the little rooms, which really mine is not even on this side, so that takes away from the illusion. But if I were to do something to add more to it, which I think it's okay, you could take your pencil and lightly, really lightly shade that bottom box, which from here, that's not making much of a difference. But if I were to go through and quickly do every single one of these, it would. So I will do that really quick, and I'll show you what it looks like after. Okay, I really lightly shaded all of those, and I think it did help a little bit. It gives that optical illusion look like they're on their own little room. But that is our good starting point right there. That is our first box. Okay, so for my next box, I'm going to make it right by my first box. So right by our little windows, we're going to add a new box. And notice I'm just kind of free-handing it. I'm not measuring things. This is my practice, and this is your practice. So feel free to do what you want. But I'm going in with my pencil, so I lied in the beginning. You do need a pencil for this project, and not just a Sharpie. My apologies. Maybe I'll go back and edit it. Probably not. But you need to go through and lightly. I mean, don't go over the paper and be really hard pressing, or even like that hard pressing. I mean, lightly, really light. Draw circles in your box. The larger the circle, the easier that this will be. So we've got a small, medium, and a large size circle. Then I am drawing my lines across here. But when I hit the circle lines, I am stopping. I am stopping. So, since I made my box pretty small, this, like, you're not leaving that big of a gap, and not that many lines are going to cross it, but it will be okay for right now. That is. So what I'm doing here is leaving those gaps for those circles. The more lines that you have, the better. So actually, I don't like the lack of lines in here, so I'm going to go ahead and add more lines where I see these big gaps, especially around the circles. So for this one, I'm going to leave a gap there. No, I'm not. I'm just going to go over the top. But here, because I think this illusion will work better the more lines that you have in between. And it's all about the illusion, right? So we've got this to start, and you can clearly see where those circles are. But what I am going to do is where those gaps are, so between this line and this line, I'm going to follow the curve, and I think I'm going to make another one right here, the curve of the circle. So make it appear that there's something underneath. So all I am doing is following the curve of the circle. Which is pretty simple to do. And it kind of makes it look like there's bumps underneath. But here's the key part. You drew those in with pencil. You can clearly see the pencil lines, and my eraser is really small, so let's see if I got another one. Yeah. Try not to get one that's super hard and leaves red marks. Okay, I tested it. All I'm going to do, and be careful because if your ink is still wet, you don't want to smudge it. But I'm going through and I'm erasing all of my little pencil marks between the lines. Oop. And then this is that time to dry, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe it away. But be careful about rubbing away your permanent marker. That would be bad. So we got those. And then kind of like we did last time, where we shaded the bottom here, I'm going to go around and shade this side and some of the bottom to get that optical illusion to where it looks like we've got something under there. And if we go over the top, like flat, and maybe I can add a little bit more to the bottom. But what we're trying to get is that there is something underneath this. And depending on how you move your eyes, you can kind of see it. It's pretty cool. So that is our first two put together. Okay, so our next optical illusion op art we are trying is going to go over here on the other side of my last one. It's pretty simple, and I mean, when I'm saying this, I really mean it. So you're going to start in the center of your box, because remember, you got to draw the boxes. Is draw this weird shape. It is a rectangle, but if you notice, it kind of gets bigger on this side. Then from this, we're making spiral shapes. And I'm just following the edges and connecting corners, to be honest with you. And I get something like this. Yours might look different than mine. Maybe you see different connections than I do. That is for you to figure out. Let me set my camera back up, if I can get it to stay in place. In case you're wondering, when I film these videos, I'm in my dorm room, and this is my phone on a stapler that is holding it up. So I have to be kind of cautious while I'm making this. But anyways, what you're going to do next, we're trying to create the illusion that it's spiraling outwards. So all I'm going to do is make lines that come out in between the lines that we just made. Pretty simple stuff. So I'm going to keep doing that and not bore you with. Okay, so I have all of those lines in, and my next step is going to be darken. So just going around the outsides of those main spiral notes. Those first set of lines we made coming off our shape in the middle. Darkening those. Okay, one more. Alright, so if I bring you back over here, we just got this going on for us. So you'll notice I made a mistake up here, but this is my practice and your practice too, so I am not going to worry too much about it. So our first 3 optical illusions put together look like this. We got spirals, we've got the illusion with the circles, and then we've got the window illusion. Those are our first. Alright, so we are starting on the second row. The ones that I drew before are above us. That's my box. I'm going to start in this lower corner, and what you're going to do is you're creating geometric shapes. So those shapes that get the sharp edges, and you're going to come off each one of them. So you're going to determine what kind of shape you want. It's got to have sharp edges. It could be a triangle, it could be a square, just a prism, something. And then you're going to start bouncing back and forth from all of the little points that you make inside there. I think I did that wrong. That's alright. So we're going to go to the next one. And we're trying to wrap ourselves back into this center. There we go. I'm getting the hang of it now. So this is my one big shape. So you're just trying to bounce off the sides to get back towards the middle. And you can have mistakes like I did and come back and still have some really good areas. That's the thing about optical illusions and art like this, where we're using Sharpie and or just permanent markers in my case, because mine isn't a branded Sharpie. But using things that are permanent, you have to realize that you could keep going, making mistakes, using up your materials over and over again, when in the end it might have looked really cool the way that you messed it up to start with. I think those got a touch. And so just keep working towards the centers. And I'm not going to bore you with this anymore. I'm going to finish it up and then come back to you. So, to create the optical illusion part of this, so I've got all those together. And like, that's a cool design. But to get the optical illusion part of it, start to make things thicker. Either where you made like the edges of your shape, or where things change direction. So I'm making things thicker on the edges of my shapes. And this is one of the more difficult ones, so don't worry if yours does not turn out perfectly. But what you are supposed to be seeing is like a fractured effect or things bending and changing. But if it is just lines and you did your best, which is kind of how I think mine looks, that's okay. There we go. That's pretty good. So we're continuing on we've got our fourth design. Alright, for our next illusion, I'm going to start, of course, by drawing the box that it's going to reside in. But then, you're going to pick a center point. So what you think is the center of your box. You are going to start drawing circles all the way around. And you're going to keep going until you hit the edge of your box, or pretty close to it. So that's pretty close. I couldn't draw another one without hitting it. What we're going to do, I'm going to close up for you, is on each section, you're going to do kind of like a checkerboard pattern, where certain ones are missing and certain ones are there. So for me, it's going to be these 4 to start. Now I've started, I've got that little cross in the middle. The next part is going to be in those white areas that we left last time. That's where we're starting in the next section. So you keep going like this until you get it all filled up. So I'll come back when I've got it. Okay, this is the final product of that one. Does it really look like it's spiraling downward? No, but it's a common one that people use a lot of times and like to say that it's spiraling down backwards. And I don't know, from this angle it looks a little bit better. I always enjoyed kind of doodling this kind of stuff while I was taking notes. I don't know, it's another one that you can use for your project. Okay, so I'm going to draw our final box. This is our last one. We're doing 6 in total. You should have 6 on your paper that you turn into the Google form that is on Google Classroom. You know, pretty simple to figure out kind of stuff. For our last one, the first thing that you need to do, draw a rectangle or a square if you really want to do a square in the bottom portion of your paper. Then, coming from each of those corners, match them up to your corners of your paper, or not your paper, but your box that you just drew. So we're matching those to our corners. Very nice. Some of you can probably guess where this is going. I've seen a lot of these doodles over the years, not only from me, but from other people. So then, all we're doing is making more boxes that go around the outside. It's pretty simple, I think, to figure out where we're going from this and kind of spiraling out. I messed up. It's okay. We all mess up sometimes. It'll only kind of make my illusion a little less great, but you know, that's whatever. Keeping this going, if you want to look at it from my angle, it looks, you know, like you're staring down an elevator shaft in a movie, if you will. That's kind of the effect that we're going for. But no, we will not be done after we finish putting these lines in, because it needs to be that center part right there, which was supposed to match with this. It is black, this is white, so the next level will be, if I didn't mess it up, it would be a lot easier. The next level will be black. I will show you what it looks like when I am finished, but you're alternating your levels between black. Okay, welcome back to my optical illusion video. Or I guess welcome me back. You guys are still watching it. That doesn't make sense. In any case, this is what it looks like after I have added the black into it. It's kind of an optical illusion. They're all pretty neat. If you had to ask me my favorite, it would be this one, where we think that something's underneath the lines, but it's not. Those are the 6 that you need to do to complete this assignment. And you'll have to take a photo of them and turn them in on the Google form. So thank you guys for watching, even though I know you had to, and I hope this goes really well for you.